Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to talk about perception. We are going to talk about this aha moment that I had with regard to perception versus reality. And as moms, how this is so important to us and why that is for us as moms. So let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of two girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, mamas. So I am excited to talk to you today because I had this aha moment when I was reading. I do a devotional every morning, so it's always something different. But right now I'm in 100 Days of Believing Bigger by Marshawn Evans Daniels, and I'm loving it. And this week is about identity, and it starts with a Bible quote and then this little like explanation, and then they ask a question and you journal, and then you end with a prayer. And so I absolutely love this particular Believing Bigger one. I've done 100 Days of before by different authors, but this is an amazing one. Anyway, I digress. What I was reading, this Bible verse that I'm going to read to you right now, inspired what I thought was an episode that then turned into my aha moment that I am going to share with you because I really believe as moms, it's a super powerful message that we need to hear, especially right now. So anyway, the verse was Romans 12, verses 6 and 7. And it says, let's just go ahead and be what we are made to be without enviously or pridefully comparing ourselves with each other or trying to be something we aren't. Okay, so when I read that, I was like, ooh, that is so good. I was absolutely loving that Bible verse, but I was like, I need to share that on the podcast and talk about comparison. It's been a while since we've talked about comparison. I should share that and talk about it. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, why have I never heard that verse before, or why do I not remember that verse that way, right? And so I looked at it again, and this particular translation is from the Message Bible. So if you read this in what my version that I always read the Bible in, or I guess like the version that I like the best is the NLT, the New Living Translation. And the same verse, Romans 12, verses 6 and 7, in the NLT version says this. It says, in his grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you are a teacher, teach well. And it goes on, like the verse continues, like verses 8, 9, whatever, it continues. And I'm like, oh, that's the version that I am familiar with. But this one talking about like the way that they put it, made to be without enviously or pridefully comparing ourselves with each other. So we a lot of times compare ourselves, right? And I was like, why is that so different, right? Like, why is that so much different? And the way that I received it was so much different from the Message version than it is from the New Living Translation, because it is saying very similar things, but the translation, right, that they put on it in the Message Bible is very actually clear of what you would glean from that verse, right? Like this is why I don't read the Message version. Like I don't like the, some of the more, I don't know, when you take it further and further away from the actual word of God, I believe that it does lose some of what I hope to gain from the Bible, which is the truth that God wants me to hear, right? Like not what someone has decided that is the translation that we need to hear. Like, so, because everyone can take a verse and get different things from it at different times. And like, I have never gotten anything like that from this verse, right? And typically, like, a pastor or someone, a priest, someone who is preaching on the Bible might have their version of what they believe that to mean. But I believe that you actually get to interpret through the Holy Spirit from God what he's trying to say to you when you're reading the Bible. And so I like to keep it more congruent with the actual words versus now I don't love the like the original translation because it's super hard to understand. And some of the way that they speak or they spoke back then is way different, and the wording they would use. And so it can get very confusing if you go on a literal translation. So I do enjoy like the New Living Translation. But what this aha moment that I had was about perception versus reality, and how we as moms, especially, can perceive things that are different than what is actually reality. Now, comparison can come into like this whole picture. Like, it was very interesting that this happened on this particular verse because it is so true that when we are comparing ourselves to others, we aren't necessarily comparing ourselves to the reality of the other person, right? We are comparing ourselves to what their highlight reel is or what we have seen that they want to show us is, right? We are comparing ourselves to our perception of their reality, because you've heard the quote before, right? Perception is reality, but is it? Right? Is it really reality? Now, in a way it is, because perception is your reality, right? Like, your perception is your reality. But is perception reality? I challenge that, because it is not reality. Perception is your perception. It's your interpretation of something, right? And when we interpret what other people are thinking or saying or doing, or we're trying to interpret the ways of this world and what people are thinking about us and how they might judge us for what we're deciding to do or not do as moms, or, if we are judging ourselves for wanting more for ourselves, why are we doing that? Is it because we don't really want the more? Is it because we think others are going to judge us for wanting that more, right? Perception is not really reality. Perception is just that. It's your perception, which you make your reality, but it isn't actually reality. I don't know if anybody needed to hear that, but I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is so good. So I completely changed what I was going to talk about this morning and decided to go in a different direction, because I was hit with this aha moment that I'm like, this is gold. Like, this is gold. Like, God gave me this download today and he was like, no, you need to switch it. It was literally in the shower right before I was ready to record. I decided to take a shower. And this is when it hit me that, oh no, Danielle, you need to talk about it in this light. You need to talk about it in this light, because we so often are conditioned to think in such a way. I'm going to read another quote here. This one is from Mark T. Barnes, and it says, perception is often stronger than reality. It is easier for us to see what we believe than it is for us to believe what we see. It is easier for us to see what we believe than it is to believe what we see. So, depending on what your beliefs are, the way that you see a situation is going to be different than the way that somebody else sees a situation, right? Let's just take this verse for an example, right? The way that I have read this verse in the New Living Translation or the NIV or whatever, the King James Version, like, I looked at it in a whole lot of different versions, and most of them are very similar to the New Living Translation. But this Message version is so different, right? This is someone's interpretation of what the Bible meant. But is that what God meant when he was, imparting that wisdom on whoever was writing it? Is that what that might have been the word that someone needed to hear, but is that really what the reality of what God was trying to say with what he said to that person who felt the need to write it, right? That is not necessarily true. That is not necessarily the truth. When I'm reading the Bible, I am looking for the truth. When we are living our lives, we are looking for the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is what's good for us, right? The truth is that we need to follow our hearts and our guts and what we know is true for us and our family. The truth is that we need to figure out our priorities. Like I've been talking about priorities. If you did not listen to the last two episodes, please go back and listen, because our priorities and what is important to us and taking the time to figure that out is so utterly important to you living a fulfilled mom life, right? It is so important to you being the best mother that you can be, because we are not the best mother we can be when we don't feel fulfilled, when we don't feel whole, when we feel like something is missing, when we feel super pulled and scattered and busy and just all of these things that could have us distracted from what we are actually meant to do and who we are meant to be as women, but also as mothers, right? Because we can't be our best self unless we are happy and fulfilled, right? And when we need to look outside, when we know, we can feel in our gut that we need to do something more, that we want something more, we should not let the outside world decide if that is what we want or not, right? You need to get your priorities in check, need to figure out what is important to you. You need to get clear on what are the areas of your life that you need to focus on. What are the things that are most important to you at this particular moment? What are your core values? What are your strengths? This is how you determine how to spend your time. And when we don't take the time to do that for ourselves, then we are missing out, because we are going to continue to spin our wheels and feel that lack and feel like something is missing. We can be doing all of the things, and they might be right for some people, and they might even feel fun or good or whatever in the moment. But then when you really think back on it and you are like, gosh, but I really wish we had done this, or I really wish I had done that. Or, when you are taking what you know to be truth and allowing your perception, what you believe of others, to alter that, then that is when we can fall into a trap, right? We can fall into a trap. Your perception is your reality, right? And how you perceive others, don't let that influence what you know to be true about yourself. Right? I know, like going back to comparison and things, like if you're looking on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever at another mom and the amazing time that she's having with her kids and all of the trips that they're taking and all of the things that they're doing and whatever, or you're looking at the mom who, she is now pursuing what she knows that she wants to do. She's still a stay-at-home mom. She's still able to do all of the things, because our kids are a little bit older now, and you see her pursuing her dreams, and it looks like everything is picture perfect and she has it all figured out, right? But what you don't know is that she just took the steps, right? It all starts with a step. You have to start somewhere. And figuring this out for yourself is so important. Figuring out what is important to you and what your priorities are and what is your reality. That is the work that you need to do, and to not let the outside world determine what your inside reality is, because your perception becomes your reality, but it isn't necessarily the truth. It isn't actually actuality, right? It is your perception. So perception doesn't always equal reality, but in a way it does, because you let it alter how you are thinking. When you see something and your belief is one way, then you believe that to be true. But someone else sees it in a whole different way and they believe the same exact thing, the same exact Bible verse, the same exact whatever, political statement, the same exact sentence that someone says. They see it in a whole different light than the way that you see it, because our perception is our reality. It isn't actuality, but it is our reality, right? So I wanted to end with one quote here from Joe Vitale that says, "Your perception creates your reality." That statement, I believe. And it says, "You can look at life and see scarcity or abundance. It depends on your mindset." Right? You can look at life and see scarcity or abundance. It depends on your mindset. So let's, as moms, decide what it is that we want, right? You create your own reality. I have said that so many times. If you remember, it's one of my affirmations. It's I am in control and I create my own reality. It is so true, because the way that we perceive others, the way that we perceive ourselves, is going to become our reality. So let's stop putting limits on ourselves. Let's think in abundance. Let's believe that we were made for more. If that is what we want, if that is what's written on your heart, if that is what your gut is telling you, I believe that is God telling you, and you would not have this if it wasn't something you were gifted with and you could see through to the end. Doesn't mean that you'll get that thing or have that more tomorrow or next week or next month or even next year. It doesn't necessarily mean that, no. But when you take the time to figure out what is important to you, when you get clear and know what you want for yourself and your family and why, this is what is so important, because then you can work backwards, right? Like I was talking about beginning with the end in mind on Tuesday. And this is where it's so important, because when you do that, when we do the work on the front end, which is exactly what we do in my coaching program, right? When we do that work, we are able to get to the point where we know what the end is. We figure that out, but we're super clear on what the now looks like as well. And we get to feel fulfilled and happy in the now, because we know we're on that path to where we want to go, and to who we want to be, and to that more that we are so desiring. So I hope this has hit home as hard for you as it has for me today. I really want this more for you. And if you are wanting that for yourself as well, I would love to walk with you on this journey to figuring it out for yourself. And that is what we do with our prioritization clarity calls. So please go to prioritizewithpurpose.com, prioritizewithpurpose.com/coaching, and sign up for one of the prioritization clarity calls with me, and we will walk through this together. We will do it together. If you still have any questions, feel free to schedule a discovery call. It will also be with me. It's completely free, but I want to make sure that you are confident in taking that next step, and I cannot wait for you to walk in that fulfilled mom life that I know you desire, and wanting that more and having that more, right? So I want to give you a challenge this week to actually think about how your perception might actually be altering your reality, and how actually that might be limiting what you believe you're capable of. I want you to really think about that this week, and I will see you right back here next week. Okay. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right back here next week. Keep smiling, y'all.